If you go out, you may want to take the dogs. I don't know. Well, hello, hello, hello to everybody out there in the Heart Centered Moms, Heart Centered Successful Work at Home Moms community. My name is Teresa Sanderson. I am talking to you today about the number one way to overcome overwhelm. And trust me, it's not what you think, but a little bit about me. I am a major depression thriver and I'm an overcomer. So I'm very excited to share with you a little bit about what I've learned about the number one way to overcome overwhelm. Bear with me just a second. I want to make sure that that you can hear me as well as see me. So if you're watching and you can hear me, just comment, "Hey, I hear you." That would be wonderful. Maybe let me know where you're watching from. I would totally love that. Love to connect with you. Bear with me just one second here. All right, trying to pull myself up here in the live stream. Just one sec. Okay. All right, looks like we're good. We are all good. All right, so the number one way to overcome overwhelm, it is not going to be what you think. But I want to tell you that this is truly, thank you, Carolee. It's great to connect with you. Thank you for letting me know you hear me. Um, but I want to share with you a little bit about what overwhelm is, right? I'm sure we've all felt it. Isn't it part of just being an entrepreneur, I think? I'm going to tell you or share with you a few of the reasons why we're overwhelmed in today's society. Things are pretty freaking crazy. And then I'm going to talk with you about the number one way to overcome it. Okay. I'm going to share with you everything I know there. And then I've got a great offer for you at the end of the program that I'm just uber excited to share with you. So here we go. So, what is overwhelm? Overwhelm. My goodness, isn't it that sense? It's a terrible sense. It's kind of that we've already been defeated. So, why even start? I can't think clearly. I can't make decisions. Everything seems to need to be done at once. I've got a lot of competing priorities, don't you think? Sometimes that happens, just boom, 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 everything coming. I've got multiple deadlines. I've got big goals I want to reach, and I'm stressed out about it, and I just can't move. I can't move. I can't. Sometimes we might break down in tears. Sometimes we may just stuff it and keep going. But what happens then? We might be irritable with our family, people we love and care about, right? So we might be easily irritable. We might not be sleeping well when we're overwhelmed. All of these things can happen. So when you think about overwhelm, first of all, it affects so many people in this country. It affects so many people and around the world. Um, but it definitely affects women more than men. And how I want you to think about overwhelm is a couple of different ways. First of all, it's a symptom. It's a symptom of depression. Okay, it's a big symptom of depression, and it easily happens to those of us who have it. But it's also a symptom of burnout. Okay, so even if you don't have depression, overwhelm is a signal that you could be headed toward burnout in your career, whatever it is that you're doing, because that is not our normal state. We should not expect to be overwhelmed. Are you with me? All too often we say, well, I'm an entrepreneur. That's not how life is supposed to go. Okay. Even if maybe you're just saying, oh, well, I've got three small kids at home, so I'm overwhelmed. It's not the normal state that we should live in. Okay. I want you to just kind of wipe that off the map there for yourselves. And the last thing I want you to do when you think about overwhelm is consider it a major signal, like your body is standing there waving the white flag of surrender, going, something has to change. Do you hear me? Something has to change. So that's what it's all about. So, why are we overwhelmed? Well, in the world of being an entrepreneur, don't we always have multiple balls being juggled in the air, right? All of these things. And believe me, I used to thrive on that. I used to thrive on thinking, man, I'm double booked. I don't know how I'm going to negotiate all this. I've got big, big projects this week, and I'm just going to somehow by the end of the week, and it probably didn't go well, but by the end of the week, I probably got it done. Um, but I don't know that I felt really satisfied. Okay. So the next thing, a lot of it is that we have too much to do. And sometimes we have too much to do because we have trouble saying no. Anybody been there? You get invited to something, maybe it's a time that you were going to rest, and somebody says, hey, you want to do this? Or are you free at X time? And you say, well, yeah, I'm free. So I guess that means yes, right? Not so. So sometimes we just have too much to do. And, you know, we're just we're scattered in our thinking. We don't have enough time, right? Have you ever said, man, if I only had more time, if I only had more hours in the day, I could get it all done and feel good about it, right? We don't have enough time. Keeping up with the Joneses. Oh my gosh, this is huge. This is huge in our society today that we think, well, look at them across the street, or, the next lot over, they just got a brand new car, or they're putting in new carpet, or they're adding on to their house, or so and so just moved from this neighborhood into a better neighborhood. Man, I'd like to be in that better neighborhood too. Maybe your neighbor's kids or your best friend's kids are in every single activity under the sun, and you feel like, I'm guilty if my kids aren't in every activity under the sun, but I really can't make it happen. Or I'm going to try and struggle and break my neck to make it happen. See what I mean? So that keeping up with the Joneses is a big deal. Then there are distractions. Do you know that the amount of time we are pulled here, there, and yonder just because of the phone in our pocket or in our purse or on our desk? Because bing, there's that little notification, bing, who wants me here? Bing, who wants me there? And we have just sped up the treadmill of communication with all of this stuff. And those distractions, if you don't know it, they are addicting. Okay. And this is a whole other thing. We won't get into it too much here, but when you get that notification on your phone, there is a little release of dopamine in your brain. And that is the same kind of response that you would get if you took a hit of heroin, okay, or cocaine. Same kind of thing. So those notifications become addicting. So what are we doing? We find ourselves checking our phone even when it didn't ding or vibrate, right? How many times do we literally check our device even though it never went off to tell us that we had a message? So if you think about it, if you go back, 20, 30 years, that would be like going out to the mailbox and opening up and saying, anything in there? Nope. I'm going to go back inside and then coming back out. Anything in there? See what I mean? It's just crazy. But those notifications and things like that on our phones and devices are so distracting for us that we can't stay focused on the present task. And so that really hurts our productivity. And so we end up with things like, yeah, Carly, I hear you. We end up with things like, I don't have enough time. Okay. I just couldn't get it done today. And I don't know why. Okay. So a lot of overwhelm comes from the sense of, man, I'm just always in a time crunch. Okay. Yeah, I see. There's people saying, "Yeah, I'm in there. I've been there, done that." Yeah, exactly. And I still catch myself from time to time doing it too. Although I'm a lot better at it today than I used to be, just because I know it exists, right? Other things that really distract us and overwhelm us is the news. Think about it. We never hear good news, right? Right now, with the election coming up in our country and just, COVID-19, since March, haven't we just been February, March? We've been on high alert, haven't we? Everything health wise, we're under this pandemic threat, and that impacts and affects everything we do. Maybe it's impacted your business personally. And so having to shift, turn on a dime, and learn to do business in a whole different way has created a huge sense of overwhelm in and of itself. Don't you think? I mean, that's just been huge. So the news, if you don't know it, because it's all bad, it feeds our fight and flight mechanism. I am a 30-year RN, I've got to confess. So sometimes I'll kick back to a little science, but that feeds our fight or flight response in our body, and it keeps us stressed at all times. Okay, and chronic stress, that's a whole other animal, but it is very, very bad for us. But when we tune into the news, like when I visit my parents, they've got Fox News running all day long, 24/7. If they're awake, that TV is on and it's blasting the news. Same news we heard at 8 o'clock this morning, we're going to hear at 8 o'clock tonight and every hour in between. But we keep it on. Okay. The next thing, poor quality sleep. If you've ever, when you've experienced overwhelm, you may also have those nights when you lay your head on the pillow and you just can't sleep. That is a symptom. That is a symptom of overwhelm. And, your mind starts racing. And typically for me, on those nights when I can't sleep at night and I'm feeling overwhelmed, um, I'm reliving my worst memories. I'm seeing my failures over and over again in my brain. I'm seeing losses in my life that have happened. Who the heck wants to go there? But that's what happens, when we can't sleep. Also, we don't take care of ourselves. Typically, we're not eating the best, especially if we're busy entrepreneurs, right? Don't we kind of say, well, I'm just too busy to do anything right, so I'm going to have that burger. I'm going to get something fast food instead of XYZ salad that I could have made at home, or whatever. It happens, right? It happens, and it's okay. Don't I'm not judging because some days it's me. Financial stressors. This is another thing. If the finances aren't right, if the finances aren't in line, we've got too much month for the money. That is a huge stressor for us and can lead to overwhelm because what's the overwhelm for us as an entrepreneur if we're feeling like there's not enough money at the end of the month? It's that I need to hustle more. I need to hustle more to make this happen. So overwhelm. There you have it. There's a lot of the different reasons that it happens. But and if you felt any of those, give me a thumbs up or something in the comments. Let me know. And because we are all in this together. And so when I talk to you about this, I really want to share with you everything that I've learned about how to overcome it. So now we know that overwhelm exists. We know it's a sign of burnout. We know that it's a symptom of depression. We know it's our body waving that red flag or white flag of surrender, sorry, that something needs to change. Okay. So, and we know a lot of causes, but how do we get out of it? How do we get out of it? And what can we do about it? So, two words. Two words is the number one way to overcome overwhelm, and that is intentional living. Intentional living. And that's what I'm going to teach you about today. And what the heck does that mean to begin with? Intentional living means that you clearly know and understand what you most value in your life, whether you're a young mom and that's quality time with you and your family, or maybe you're a roomy nester or empty nester like me, and it's more of, making those great memories with my grandchildren and my family now, or it's planning for my retirement, whatever that may be, whatever you most value. Well, it wouldn't be planning for my retirement, whatever I most value in my life that guides the choices that I make each day. Okay, so that I'm always living in alignment with what I value most. Do you see what I'm saying? This really isn't hard. It's not hard, but it does take some learning. Okay, let's face it, nobody ever taught us how to use our time and how to use it well and how to live in a way where we wouldn't be overwhelmed. So, intentional living just simply means you are guided by what you value most in all the choices you make each day. And so that's how you spend your time. It's how you spend your money. It's how you live your days. Okay. So, and that's what living an intentional life means. It means that you make your choices that way. So, how is intentional living different than just living? Okay. Well, if we're just kind of going through life, bebopping through it, and say I'm a young mom, I'm not, but say I am, and I have three small kids at home, and those are the things that I value most. That's what I value most is my time at home. But as I'm out and about, let's just say, even though we've had a crazy busy week, my girlfriend says, "Hey, let's get together on Saturday. I want to go out, to want to go out shopping all day, and maybe we'll go out to dinner at night and have drinks and get home really late or whatever." And it might sound really fun, but if I say yes to that, that's really not necessarily in alignment with being home with my kids. Or what if, here's another good one, this is probably a better example. What if you were working in a conventional job and you're offered overtime, time and a half all the time? That's always very enticing for people, is that time and a half kind of thing. Or maybe you have a big client that says, in your entrepreneurial business, says, "Hey, I really need this done, but I need it done by Friday," or maybe they ordered it on Friday and they want it done by Monday. There you go. And you had a perfect, beautiful weekend scheduled for you and your family, but they want this thing done by Monday morning at 8 a.m. How do you decide, right? And is that in line with your values to say, when your family is the thing that you most value, to say yes to this client who wants this done at a certain time? So there's room for negotiation there, is what I want to tell you. And so as you think about intentional living, just consider being guided by what you value most. Well, how do you get started with intentional living? Okay. First of all, you just want to identify what is it in this world that you value the most? What do you care about the most? And so that is just something to kind of meditate on and reflect on. And you may not even have to reflect on it. Usually it's just kind of there. But then you want to ask yourself, why is that? Why is that so important to me? Why do I value that so much? And get the answer there and just keep drilling down until you get to the very root of it. Because this is really, really where it's at, okay? To get to what you value most, because the rest of your life can form up all around that in a beautiful, beautiful way, to where the overwhelm decreases because you're making the right choices to reflect Okay, so that your life reflects what you value most. Okay, typically what happens again as we go through life, we're not really thinking that way. We're just thinking, hey, this sounds good. My calendar's open at that spot. Yes, I'm available. Okay, never mistake an open slot on your calendar as a yes to any invitation. Just because you don't have something there doesn't mean something else doesn't take priority. It doesn't mean that what you value most shouldn't already be there. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the way to consider your calendar as somebody who lives intentionally is that pretty much for all of the time that's there, what you value most is already all over your calendar. Okay, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then you're going to be very selective about the activities that you choose to put into various time slots. Does that make sense? Everything just kind of changes because you're kind of going, hey, I am already booked as far as this goes. Yeah, absolutely, Carly. So that's the important thing. So if you have ever heard Warren Buffett, right, the great investment guru, he always says, for every good opportunity I get, I say yes to one. I say yes to one. And I've said this to my children ever since they were young is that the world will always offer you more. You have to be sure what that's going to mean to you, okay? Because trust me, think about it. As you're an entrepreneur, how many different ways can we advertise? How many different ways can we strategize? How many different coaches, you know, do we see the ads from? And what do I need? How many bells and whistles do I truly need for my business, right? Um, so we have to have that framework of what do we value most, kind of guiding all of our choices. So when you're thinking about your life and what you value most, I'll ask you this question. As you're thinking about what you value most in your life, does the life that you're living right now truly reflect what you value most? That's a yes or no. But if you're thinking about that, does your life reflect it that that's what you value most? Because typically, what's going to show what you value most is how you spend your time and how you spend your money. Okay? That's an indicator of what matters most or what you value most in your life. So again, do your choices reflect that? And do your actions reflect what you value most? Those are all important things to think about. Now, so if you've got all those in line, that's great. This class is over. You don't need you don't need anything that I have to offer. But if those things are not in order, then you need to think about what would need to change in my life if I need to have more family time. What would need to change in my work life? Do I need to have more availability, less availability? How can I better structure my days at work? You know, all of those kind of things. What about financial stress? What do I need to change there? Do I need to be more mindful of my spending? Do I need to, you know, invest differently? All of these things. An unhealthy lifestyle, what needs to change in that so that I can move to a different spot with this? What do I value most? And let that be your guide. What if you're in a situation where a lot of women are, I don't have any time for me. I don't have any time for myself. I don't have any hobbies, you know, all of this kind of thing. I know a lot of women who are my age and they don't have any friends. They don't make the time to get out with friends they did have. And so they're just, you know, they're just kind of there by themselves and that's very isolating. So, you know, making time for yourself, what needs to change there? If you haven't prioritized yourself yet, ladies, I'm here to tell you today is the day that you need to start. Today's the day you need to start. You always need to feel like you've got some time to nurture yourself and care for yourself, especially because you are an entrepreneur. You are a wife, a mother, and people need you. People need you and are counting on you. So, how do you get your days in line with um, what you value most to live intentionally? How do you do that? First of all, you just need to know that you what you value. And then the second thing is you need to create a space and time for that to happen every single day. Okay. When I began as an entrepreneur, I was still working a full-time job. And so I was working like 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. And then in the evenings, I would give about 2 hours to my business, Monday through Friday at least, and then a little bit on Saturday when my husband was working. But we had to negotiate that because after a certain time in the evening, he just said, you know, I really want to be free by this time. So what did that do? That made me get really creative about how I was going to spend that hour and a half or 2 hours that I had in the evening. How can I make the most of that time to really get this rolling? And you can become very, very creative and still manage, you know, you can still do what you want to do, but also make your life reflect what you value most, which for me, my husband, my marriage, right? So I really wanted to show him that I'm putting you at the forefront. So these are things that I'm willing to look at and do differently. You just see here now. So you create space for these things to happen. Okay. And so, like I said, when you think of your blank calendar for the week, consider that unless there's something uber good for you, okay, your time is pretty much taken up by your number one priority, what you value most. Okay. And that is a great guide, I think, for being able to pick and choose what you're going to take and what you're not going to take. Okay. As you accept invitations and do other things, appointments, clients, whatever. So the next question, how do I create this space? How do I how do I do all this? Because believe me, this has been a process of what I learned. So for everything that comes up, really, it just means, let me reflect on how, if I say yes to that, is that in alignment with what I value most? you know? And it's a funny thing because every choice matters. If you want life to be different, we have to live it differently, right? We can't just keep doing the same thing, that definition of insanity. So if we want a different outcome, we have to take different action. And that's what this does. When you live intentionally, you begin to think about, what do I really value most and how do I want this day to look? Because you know what? We don't get a do-over on the day, do we? We can waste it, we can spend it wrong, or we can live it to the full and really come out at the end of the day going, man, that was awesome. That was an amazing day. I met some goals today. I had great time with my family. I really felt like, I got it done today, and I really, held dear what I value most. So every day when you make choices, you're going to think on what you value most. You're going to reflect on what you want your life to look like. That is so, so, so important. You want to reflect on what you want your life to look like and create goals for your new intentional life. Plan to create intentional days and then rinse and repeat. This is just how it goes. And I've got to tell you, this is the perfect time to start intentional living. And why is that? Because we're in October. We're in October, and when I was a CEO for our hospice agency, we owned and operated our own hospice. But when I did that, um, the very first thing, well, we started in our first year, but we started in October doing annual planning. Okay. And that was just a forecast for the next year of what kind of things do we want to accomplish in the business the next year? Okay. And then we took it home. We took this concept home, and Greg and I would put our heads together, and we still do this today. Every October, we forecast for the next year things like, what relationships are we going to invest in this coming year? How often do we want to see our parents, our siblings? Who haven't we seen in a long time that we need to spend more time with, right? That's intentional living. When you take a year before it even happens and kind of project what I want done, and we look at things like even home improvements, we look at our financial goals, we look at all of these things, and this is all part of, I'm going to get into it now, my positive and purposeful planning system. I have invested thousands of dollars over the last 10 years to really learn time management and productivity management, and you're going to benefit from that today. So this is really, really exciting because I've done the work for you. I've bought the expensive planners and used them, and then I've developed my own tools for annual planning, for weekly planning on Sunday evenings, and then the daily planner, and even also a special weekend planner that you can use to create and live the best weekend of your life, every single weekend, the weekend that is restorative to you, that allows you to fill your cup and nurture yourself. But moreover, not just the weekend is going to nurture you and take care of you, you will be guided through the week to take care of yourself. Okay. And that's really, really important. It's really, really important. I never want to see somebody end up like me with a totally empty cup and coming down with depression and just boom, all of a sudden I couldn't work anymore. So, all of these things I have learned kind of on the tail end of depression and through learning to live with my condition. And so it's been a very, very life-giving journey for me. So couple of things that I want you to know about the positive and purposeful planning system. First of all, this is launching today. Okay, it is launching today, and the price of the planning system is just $77, but you'll never buy another planner again. This is everything that you need, and all of your tools are downloadable, they are printable. And PDF forms are coming that you'll be able to fill the forms on the computer if you want to do that or on your device. So you're going to have all of those things. But the thing is, what comes with it? Have you ever bought a planner and had a course that goes with it? Have you had somebody walk you through how to use it, how to get the most of it? When you get the positive and purposeful planning system, I will be your personal guide to intentional living. Okay. I'm going to walk you through how to use each one of those tools. And again, October is the best time to get started because this is the time for annual planning. This is the time for you to be thinking about what do you want 2021 to look like? Okay. So we'll be together. And live classes actually start on Monday. So you're in that lucky group that when you pick this up this weekend, you'll be ready to go and you're going to get in on the live trainings that start next week. So you'll never buy another planner again. And before I developed my own tools, I was spending at least $30 a quarter on some kind of planner. The other thing is, I'm going to teach you how to intentionally plan your years, your weeks, and your days. I will show you how you can skyrocket your productivity and live a life that just reflects massive satisfaction because you're valuing, you're taking actions and making choices based on what you value the most. All right. So you're going to feel wonderfully satisfied. There will be no more of this. I just don't know where the time went. It won't be like that because you know what? I'm going to teach you to take control of your time and you're going to put this thing in drive and be in charge of your days. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. We get tripped up here and there. Life does what it does, right? But by and large, you are going to be in the driver's seat of your time, and chaos and overwhelm are going to be gone because you're living intentionally. So, the next thing you get with this, it's not just the planning system and training for the planning. I'm going to give you the positive and purposeful time management and productivity course. And that includes so many courses on things like how to derail distractions. Bear with me, I got to get my notes here. Multitasking, why it's a myth and why you shouldn't be doing it. Okay, that is a big, big myth. When to say yes to any invitation and how to say no. This is way important, especially for us gals. How to work and cooperate with your body and work in your zone of productivity because we all have one. And I'm going to help you find yours, and you can know how to prioritize your time so that you're working when you're in that hot zone of productivity. I'm going to teach you how to work in blocks of time so that you can develop this state of flow to where the work just comes easy because you've been focused on that particular thing. And I'm going to show you the value of disconnected days, all that you can gain from disconnecting from your devices. So that sounds interesting to you. This is available for you. There's a link above the video. This weekend, this is our launch. Introductory price is $77. It's going to go up soon. So I encourage you to snag it now, and we'll be in the live class in the Facebook group on Monday to start the live training. So thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in, and God bless your day. Let me know if you got any questions. Bye.